So if you came to me and you were 25% body fat and you wanted to get to the point where you could see visible abs and were oozing and throbbing in confidence, this is how I would do it. You're going to get the full disclosure of how I deliver Gorilla Platoon transformations, which, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergi and I run the Gorilla Platoon, an online physique transformation program where we get results like this each and every week. We're on 32 so far since we started. If you want to join the lovely photo collage we've got going on here, we'll be looking to make a second page of this, so get in touch and we will be able to deliver that for you. However, there is a caveat to that. Only if you get value from this video, I want you to subscribe, and then we'll talk about what to do next if this is for you. So moving straight into the meat of the video, how I'd essentially get you from 25% body fat to 10% body fat to the point where you're confident, you really enjoy how you look, you take pride in taking your top off, and most importantly, you became the man you wanted to in your archetype character movie, where you're like, if I was to draw out a movie for myself, how would he look, how would he walk, how would he feel? I'm achieving that through the development of this physique. So let's roll straight in. How we're going to achieve this in today's video, I'm going to speak to you about how I would take over your mindset, how I take over your habits, how I take over the tactics of training, feeding and recovery, and specifically keeping you on track to hit the goal when things may even start to plateau out. So without further ado, let's waste no time and roll straight in. Now what I've done is I've created a timeline of how your mindset would change from coming to me to the point when you finish the end transformation. So you would come to me in this first space being like, I don't honestly know how I got here. Like, one thing has led to another. Family, work, less desire for getting in shape, never been in shape maybe. And I would remind you that you didn't wake up like this. You got to the point you are at 25% body fat through abuse, through eating the wrong foods, through not moving enough, through not respecting your own body enough. And to that point, you ended up at 25 or plus % body fat. That would be the first thing, and the coldest and the hardest truth of the mindset training that we need to establish with you. The next thing we must understand is that you'll go through the period of understanding that everything is your fault and no one is coming to save you. I've had a few points of this in my life where I've just sat there and thought, oh shit, I really am on my own. No one could give a shit whether I achieve anything in life, bar my family. But I really am on my own to make this happen. Everything is my fault and everything is my own doing to turn it round from there. The next mindset, and probably one of the biggest beliefs you need to break, is you're not trying to get in shape. For the moment you tell me you're trying to get in shape, the word trying is code for, and women would be better understanding this because they speak in code all the time. When you say you're trying to get in shape, that basically means I'm okay if I don't get in shape because I'm trying. I tried. No. Motherfucker, if you wanted to make sure something happened, you wouldn't say I'm trying. You'd be like, I am. I have. I will. You would speak with conviction like it's going to happen. I will go to sleep tonight because you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to go to sleep. You're not going to go, I'm trying to brush my teeth tonight. You're not trying to brush your teeth. You brush your teeth and it's done. That's it. It's simple. You're not trying to brush your teeth. It's the same for getting in shape. You're not trying to get in shape at all. You are getting in shape. Done. Now, the next mindset thing to understand is you must respect yourself first so other people can do. The world around you is simply just a mirror of how you portray yourself. It's a cold, hard truth. However the world is treating you like right now is a reflection of you. And for me, I still have this daily where if there's an area in my life that I'm not content with, I am putting out a certain aspect into the world, and the world is giving me feedback on that. So I need to improve on it. It's a beautiful thing, the world. It will give you direct feedback in relation to how you are performing, but what you do with that is up to you. People complain, whinge and moan about it and will remain in the same position until they take the lesson on the chin and move forward. That's not going to be you. If you spend the time researching fitness content, that tells me you are a man that is intentional and is directional and wants to improve his life. So you already got to step up on the average people that aren't consuming this style of content. But you must respect yourself. And what does that look and feel like in the micro? It means you wake up when you said you were going to wake up. It means you're drinking water, for goodness sake. You're waking up and you're getting 3 to 4 litres of water in a day. Basics. You're getting sunlight. Basics. You're eating whole foods instead of processed food. Basics. You're just living with respect. You're not doing things where you think, the character in my movie, would he do that? Would he do that out of respect for himself? Would the people watching the movie respect him for the things he's doing? If the answer is no, you can't be doing it because no one's going to respect you for it anyway. So you must respect yourself, and in turn, that translates into the daily micro habits. The next thing you will then come to terms with is I am an athlete. You're not someone that's trying to get in shape. I am an athlete. I live in accordance with my athlete mindset. And every day you will look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete. And you will say this because ultimately you are. If you just describe of the lifestyle of an athlete, what would he do? The athlete would go to bed early, he'd wake up early, he'd train like resistance training, strength training, aerobic training, whatever his domain is. He would eat a set structured meal plan that was specific to macros to achieve a specific outcome. He'd be taking certain supplements for basic health to fill in the gaps where he wasn't getting from nutrition. I'm not saying go on gear, boys. I'm not saying go on steroids. This is not where we're going, and none of my results are, so you won't be doing either because you don't need it, because I don't believe in it. He would be also making sure that his life was congruent to the athlete lifestyle. This may mean that you don't have a degenerate girlfriend that wants to go partying every weekend. This may mean that you have somebody that wants to go up a mountain with you on the weekend. Everything wants to be structured around you being the athlete archetype within your life. That's what it needs to be. In the analogy I use for most of my military guys, I remind them, you are a soldier. How would a soldier live? He wouldn't be doing this, he'd be living like this. In your analogy, you are an athlete, and your life will then be congruent to your mindset of you being an athlete, because then the habits will form off the back of the mindset you achieve. If your mindset is in a bad space, your habits will reflect what the thoughts are you are thinking inside your head. And then the world will give you feedback on what actions you took, which will then reaffirm the habit. So if you're in a bad space with that, the world will constantly keep you in a perpetual cycle of badness. But if you believe you're an athlete, act like an athlete, the world will give you the feedback that you are an athlete, and then you're in a great cycle moving forward. And then from that point, you'll go from I am an athlete to I'm here to take what's mine. It is my birthright to look in fucking great shape. It is my birthright to be successful for me and for the people around me. You must look after yourself first if you want to help the people around you. If you look at the people that you truly respect, you respect them because they achieved certain things in their life. And now because they gain the respect and they have the things, they can help people so much more than the people that just focused on helping people first, but had nothing to offer the people. So this is the transformation of mindsets you will go through during this course that will be reaffirmed to you when I would do my check-ins with my Guerrilla Platoon members. The next thing we want to discuss is, so this is the mindset and this is your North Star of where you're heading to. But this is important, but we must bring this into daily actionable steps, tangible things you can be doing to achieve this. I absolutely want you doing all the mindset training in the mirror, telling yourself you're the best thing since sliced bread, but you also need the daily things to be doing. The first thing is you live with intent. Whatever you are doing, it's because you decided to do it. It means it was actively thought out rather than passively thought out, or passively not thought out, I guess would be the right term. You live with intent. I'm waking up at this time because I need to do this. I'm eating this food because I want this outcome. I'm training like this because I want this outcome. You live with intent. Too many people outsource most aspects of their life and are just coasting through passively, and then have the audacity to sit there and moan about their shit lives when they outsource most of it to somebody else. You cannot sit here and moan about your life if you are not the one that is fully in control, driving that aspect forward. Which then leads me on to the second part. Do you want to be the pilot in your life, or do you want to be the passenger? For as long as you're a passenger in your own life, you will not be happy. But for as long as you are a pilot, even if things aren't going your way, at least if you're in control, you'll feel a hell of a lot better about yourself. And that literally, again, comes from the mindset of being like, I am where I am in life right now because of my own doing, for good or bad. Now, there is a term here that I'm going to give you where when you are mapping out what you need to do tomorrow, for the month, for the yearly goals you want to hit, you want to be a pilot, because you will think of what the best version of you should do tomorrow, should do and achieve this month, and the goal he should hit this year. You could sit there and you're not going to think about like average things you want to achieve, because you think, well, I'm special, because everyone believes they're special, and rightly so. But you will then set a certain habit relative to that thought. So if you set that as a pilot version of you, you can be the passenger the next day and blindly follow his advice, because that was you thinking about the best version of you and what he should do. If you don't actively plan for tomorrow the night before with a pilot mindset, when tomorrow rolls around and you're in passenger mode, you're going to do what it was comfortable or what you're used to, which is minimal and not achieving hardly anything at all. And both require you to turn your brain off and follow the default setting. But one, you've got a structured list to follow and tick off. Easy. Outsource your brain power to the guy who was thinking of the best version of you, and then blindly follow it. Done, dusted. The next thing I'll say is for your habits, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. So I want you to imagine if I was to throw you on hot coal rocks, you would jump off because it's fucking hot and painful. So I want the hot coal rock line to be the same analogy for your standard of something. So in the analogy of me throwing you on hot coal rocks and you jumping off, that would be the equivalent of me turning up your... If I could click a finger and tomorrow you wake up at 40% body fat when you're normally 25, you would wake up in the middle of the night with night sweats thinking, I am so fat, I need to do something about this. You'd be out walking every day, you'd cut calories, you'd be training, you'd be doing whatever it takes to get back to baseline. It's the same if you ever get like an injury, a rash, something on your physical body. It's painful for the first time you see that. You want to get back to your baseline, which is the area of your skin is not it is pain-free and it is not... on the surface level, there's nothing wrong with it. That's what you're to get to as quick as possible. The same will go for your length of hair. For me, 7 days, it has to be cut. It is too painful for me to walk around with a fuzzy side, so I will get it cut every 7 days. The same will go for how cleanliness your house is, your kitchen is, your bathroom is. You'll be like, there's too many yellow stains on the bowl of the toilet seat now. It must be cleaned because it is below the standard I'm willing to accept. What you must do in your day-to-day habits is constantly be reviewing the standard and pushing it up a few levels. The only difference between you and people that you look up to is their standard is much, much above yours. Like if you look at David Beckham and look at his standard is, I have a stake inside Inter Miami. I have a penthouse in Miami. If someone were to take that off me and to kick me out, that would go below my base standard. That'd be so painful. I would do whatever it takes to get back up there. It's just that he has a different baseline standard to you. But then he's just a human being like you. He's just a guy from... not far from me, actually, from near Preston in the north of England. So he's just a guy like me and you, but he has a high standard. He has a high hot coal rock line for himself. That's what you must have on the day-to-day for your daily habits. And the last thing I'll say for your habits is you want to always be thinking about the movie character version of you. Am I living and doing the best thing I possibly could to him? Is this movie entertaining for the viewers to watch, or am I being a passive dork that people are going to click off real fast? And that's how I take over your habits. Next thing we're going to speak about is the tactics that maybe you actually came to this video for. These are how we actually achieve the result, because I can give you the mindset, I can give you the habits, which in turn you would end up doing the tactics. But the point I'm making is you still need the formula, the tactics that we use to get results like this. So I'm going to click out of the presentation mode and go into the first thing we do, which is the setup phase. Then we'll go into training and feeding. So when it comes to the setup phase, what we're going to do is understand your body fat percentage. We know you're 25%. We're going to punch that in to the calorie calculator. We know you've come to me at 93 kg. Sat at then 70 lean. We need to get you to around about the space of 75 kg. But ultimately, we're not too bothered about the scale weight. It's just a data point. It's just a data point that you're going to use to track in the beginning to see you're dropping off. But as you get towards the goal, it's all on the visual. And the visual, in the end, will be shredded, lean, clean-cut abs. But ultimately, that will then result in a certain body fat, will result in a certain scale weight. Perfect. So at this point, we've got your lean mass, plus the goal weight we're looking to hit. We've got your resting metabolic rate. We've got your how active you are, times the two together, and your maintenance for you in this analogy would be 2,900 calories. Now at this point, you're not drastically like fat, so it doesn't need to be an aggressive deficit. We could go 500 and sit you in at 2,4. We could sit you at this for the longest period of time. I'd then be looking to push cardio up first, so you're talking heart rate 120 to 130, incline treadmill walk, progress that to a cross trainer, then progress that to a Stairmaster. And that way you can keep food high while also keeping the output high. When it comes to feeding, and I'll tell you what we'll do, feeding and come back to training, you want to be sticking to whole foods. So if your setup is, and again, protein-wise, 1 gram per pound of body weight, if you're 25%, it'll be okay. But as a rough rule of thumb, it's your lean mass times 2.4. So roughly this guy's going to need, let's round up for easy numbers and say 170. Then from there, you're going to look at the feeding you need, go straight to 40 grams of protein. You're going to need that per meal, per sitting. The better you can space them out, that'll be better for digestion and consumption. But ultimately, just hit your target first and foremost. Across everything, always just hit the target, then look at how it would be best to break it down if you can. So you're going to look for leaner options because it's going to give you higher protein at lower calorie cost. So you're looking at whitefish, tuna, turkey, rather than your fattier options. Not that they're bad, they just come at a higher cost of calories, which will eat into other aspects. From there, you'll set your fat target, utilizing the foods here. Then you're going to fill the rest with carbs. Carbs are sacred. Carbs will drive your performance in the gym, which will come on to how you're going to train in a second. But I like to mix it up between the high GI and low GI. High GI around the workouts, fuel sessions, and then quickly gets glucose straight back into the system after the session, and then your lower GI for really filling up the glycogen stores around the session so we come back in recovered well. That's how I'd set up your feeding and the meal plan from there. We'll come on to how we'd progress that to continue making the change. The next thing we want to look at is how you would train. So let's just take an example of a set, for example. We'll come on to programs in a second, but let's go on to the specific. How would you execute a set within the gym? There's 4 metrics I'd be looking to dial in for you. They are made up of tempo, which is the speed of repetition. So you would press the load up and you come down 3, 2, 1, stop at the bottom, drive back up, stop at the top. Across everything. Across every movement you do, 3 on the way down, 1 at the bottom, 1 to 2 on the way back up in the beginning, and then 1 second pause at the top. Next thing we're looking at is the arm path. So the arm path for the pecs would be the chest starts here by the sternum, runs across the rib cage, inserts onto the humerus of the upper arm. Your only goal when training your chest is to bring your upper arm towards the midline of your body. Your only goal when training your lats is to bring the humerus, because that's where the lats insert onto, down towards the hip to shorten the lat. And we'd be dialing in the arm path of each exercise. As a rule of thumb, just picture where does the muscle start, where does it finish, bring the two together. The next thing we're looking at is your range of motion. So that's the range of motion of the joint and also the muscle. Are we taking it through the fullest amount? Because distance traveled is going to be a means of building solid tissue. If you only do half reps, you're only going to make half the gains. If you take it through a full range of motion, you're going to make more progressive gains. Then there's one more metric, probably one of the most important metrics that you want to be adhering to. Once you've got the first 3 right, you need to get the first 3 right to earn the space of the last one. Now, the last one is intensity. This is the time taken to contract the muscle on the last repetition. So we can see here, if you're doing this properly, you're going to compose yourself before you do your last rep. You're going to come up and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, maybe 6 if I was counting too fast there, still 5, to contract the muscle. That's how you know you trained hard enough. Last repetition is around 4 seconds. We could talk tactics of training splits. When it comes to training splits, you're going to be looking at hitting the muscle twice per week. That'll depend on your availability. You got 5 days, perfect. Push, pull, legs, rest day. Chest and back, arms and delts, perfect. That's the split I use to gain an upper body aesthetics physique for people that can train 5 times a week and we can add more volume. If you can't, you can only do 4, everything on the front of the body, everything on the back of the body, repeat those 2 sessions and you've hit everything there. Then your last one is a 3-day split. If you're looking solely upper body gains, you're going to do upper, lower, upper. If you're very new to training, we can do full body 3 times a week, and that will be the sweet spot for that. And that's how we'd approach training, with the holy grail, making sure every time you train, you apply progressive overload. The next thing you'd look at is recovery. 8 hours sleep every night, non-negotiable, and then from there push that up an extra hour if you can. Forget about any other means of recovery, just sleep that extra hour and you will be surprised how well you develop and grow. And then the last thing we want to say is keeping it all together. So the way you're going to do this is you'll have been working for a week, you're going to log and record the scale weight. How is it trending? Should be trending down. If it's not trending down, but you were adherent, you tracked every bit of food that went in your mouth, you tracked all the steps, the cardio that you're supposed to do, the sessions you're supposed to do, the scale still didn't go down, remove food. But I would say first, before you do that, push up your activity. So then go to 30 minutes of cardio per day to create the negative energy balance. Because again, you want to be a fit athlete at the end of the day, not some guy that just ate dust for 16 weeks, and that's why you got lean. You want to get lean through being a fitter, stronger individual and still eating a good amount of food, because again, it'll bring your metabolism out of the bin like most human beings is. So from there, you're going to push some form of output, track the metrics again for a week, and then you will see scale weight starts to drop off. Perfect. Now don't touch anything. Rinse and repeat that for as long as you can until it starts to plateau out again. Then make the next change. There may be a trade-off. Because most people are busy, or they say they are, where you just, the time spent doing the extra cardio, it may just be better to pull from food. And if your appetite's not massively high either, maybe better to pull from food. Why I don't pull from food straight away is to drive gym floor performance, to build and retain tissue. But sometimes there is a trade-off between time. It may eat into your sleep if I'm getting you to do a lot more. But ultimately, you may get to the point at the end of the transformation where you're at 60 minutes of daily cardio and your food has been pulled twice and you're now in an even greater deficit. And that's just what's needed to get down towards the goal. And that's why keeping it all together and that's how you make changes. That's why you must always revert back to this. You must always revert back to the mindset, and then you must always use this as the pillar and the staple to execute the changes week on week. And that is how I would take you from 25% to 10% body fat, so you have a nice set of abs and look like the rest of the boys on here. If you found value in this video, subscribe. If you want to roll that process with me, then there'll be a link in the description. Book a call, and we'll take you from there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.